Hi everyone, it's Jocelyn here. So let's get started. The four functions of introduction is gain attention and interest, gain the goodwill of the audience, clearly state the purpose and preview of the speech. So those are the four functions. Now, gain attention and interest usually means like if you want the audience to listen to what you have to say, make sure you include this. And for gain the goodwill of an audience, make sure you state your credibility. So make sure you state your sources, some of the websites you use or articles or whatever it is that you use. Make sure you state them, because showing that you're credible to your audience is a little more reassuring that they'll trust you. And not comparing, but relating the topic to your audience is also a good way as well. Clearly stating the purpose and preview of the speech is kind of a similar thing. So they both help the audience to understand what you're trying to explain or what you're trying to get out in a presentation. Moving on to common types of attention getters. So some common ones that I know are questions, quotes, jokes, and a personal reference. So for questions, maybe like if a speaker asks a question, but they purposely ask it because no one's going to answer it, and so therefore the speaker answers the question, and it shows, the more they explain, the better the audience is going to understand. Now for quotes, it's good to use quotes here and there. You're restating what another person has said, so stating a good quote that someone famous has said is good at implementing in a speech if it relates to your speech. Jokes, who doesn't like a good joke? So a good joke, I don't know any personally, but I know a lot of people who use them, and it's good to have and it's good to set out. It just makes people more awake and to make some laugh, so it's nice. And a personal reference would be, personal experience is good because I feel like that would really connect you with your audience, and it shows that you really connected to your speech. So those are the four common types of attention getters that I have found, and some strategies that make sure you have to your main ideas, because you can't start an intro without your main idea. So make sure you create your intro last and make sure to understand the functions of an introduction. Now, moving on to the four functions of a conclusion. So the first one would be prepare audience for the end of your speech, present any final appeals, summarize and close the conclusion, and end with the clincher. So prepare audience for the speech. So never end a speech, questionable. Make sure you state how your speech is going to end and plan out how it is going to end. Present any final appeals. So suppose you leave an audience motivated towards your speech. That's a really good sign. So make sure you do that. So you can ask like a question, or you can make a joke at the final of a speech, and so it'll feel like more lighted. It'll feel better for your audience. Now for summarizing and closing the conclusion, so make sure you include a summary or just a recap of your thesis. Make sure you're restating your main ideas, your main points of your speech, and ending with the clincher. Now make sure when you end with the clincher, you're having some sort of closure. So make sure your speech ends some sort of way. And then moving on to common types of conclusions. So I found the most common ones were summary, a wrap-up, and reference. So summary and wrap-up are kind of, similar. So it's mostly just, summarizing is the whole speech. So make sure you talk about details of the entire speech, and a wrap-up is just, the basics to what your speech was about. And then a reference, so you can reference certain books or even music or quotes, so any stuff like that you can reference towards the end of a speech, and it helps to have the audience more closer and more what do you call it, like more invited into your speech. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. And preparing a conclusion. So make sure you don't have any false conclusions. You need to prepare an audience for the end of a speech, and make sure you just wrap up what your entire speech was about. So make sure you never leave a audience hanging. Make sure you conclude it and end your speech well. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you. So basically, everyone, what I just did was super bad. Make sure when you're presenting a speech, you practice and practice and practice, and not try memorizing your whole speech, but memorizing most of your speech. Now, as you can see, I have my notes right here in back of me. Now, we can't just keep doing this the whole time. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good to your audience. You're not going to be doing that in front of an audience. It just wouldn't look professional. Make sure you're keeping a lot of eye contact with the camera, and make sure you connect with your audience and have, just feel relaxed, get your nerves down, and just make sure you practice a lot. Okay, well, that's all I have to say. Thanks. Bye.